I want you to start by being a personal assistant. And so, and I'm just going to let you do this just a little bit of time, and then I'm going to stop you. But you're going to, so as a personal assistant, you want to help your kid, right? Okay, so you're going to, you're going to help them with their math homework. Maybe you're going to say you're really good at math, or you've got some friends who can help. However you're going to solve the problem, but help them out, okay? So this is round one. We're going to go through each of the styles, and I'm going to do it kind of quickly, okay? But round one got you. Does this make sense? Okay. And kids, you start. Teens, if you're a teen, you start and tell your parents, I'm getting a D, and I don't really care. Okay? Okay, so you were irritated because mom's not really listening and you don't think she really knows. Okay, thank you. Any other feeling? Manipulated. Thank you. Yeah. All right, parents, how are you feeling? Frustrated, I heard? Unappreciated?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, the last thing I need is more homework. Great, thank you. Okay, round two. This time, kids, if you're the teen, you say the same kind of thing. This time, parents just say, you know what, I don't have time to deal with this. Either you can just, I'm not going to listen to this right now, or you're just going to ignore it, okay? So this won't take too long, but go ahead and try it. Everyone go.
Well, I'm just
Okay, so you might not even bring it up if you think your parents are not going to care. Okay. How about other feelings? Anybody else have? Thank you. Yeah.
I would say frustrated because my parents supposed to solve this for us.
Okay, so you're frustrated. You're going to your parents and they're really not doing anything. Okay, so it feels different than how we're being treated. Okay, anything? How about parents? How did you feel?
Overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed?
You don't want one more thing to have to worry about.
Not one more thing. Yeah, it's just way too much.
I felt different. I felt totally, I don't like passive.
Okay, so you felt guilty. Not, yeah.
I felt relaxed.
I
didn't argue about it. It was just like, whatever.
Go ahead and get a D. Great. So it feels different to be in these different ways. So let's try. We got two more to try. So next I want to do the director. And so if you're the parent, you're going to, come up. You can say you need to study more to get up your grades. I'm not going to allow a child like mine to fail. This is not acceptable. From now on, you will, and then lay it out how solve that problem. Okay, got it? Ooh. So we're gonna try this. All right, and I'll give you just like a minute or two to try that out. So teens, you're doing the same thing. Parents, you're gonna solve it.
Defiant.
You're upset and frustrated? You feel like you're being controlled?
Defiance.
Defiance. Okay, yeah. It's like, how dare you tell me how to do things? Yeah.
Stop listening.
Shut down. Stop listening.
Threatened.
Good. Thank you.
Threatened.
Threatened. You feel threatened. And that's interesting when you say shut down and listen. If you talk at your teens, if anyone does that to us too, we tend to, you know, at some point you got to protect yourself, and you do start shutting down. So I've watched parents who kind of yell at their kids a lot, and what happens is it just they start ignoring you to protect themselves. So yeah, that's a natural reaction. So you can kind of feel how that is. How about parents? How did you feel? Feelings there?
No, you're immediately in a power struggle.
Immediately in a power struggle. Great. Nothing
Awesome.
yeah, that's what we don't want, yes. A little frustrating also, okay.
Angry.
Angry? Yeah, because you're trying to solve this, and your kid is your kid very appreciative? No. Probably not, no. Yes.
The thing I see with a lot of this is the time pressure that you feel. You find out a kid has a D on their math test from someone shares that, but there's that time pressure to fix something before the next occurrence, and these parenting techniques take more than just Monday to Friday, and so I think that becomes part of the challenge in like where you float and when you sort of skitter from one technique to another. And
Right,
you
and
said something about that with the time.
Right.
Everything under pressure.
So there is pressure, and we can feel like a lot of that pressure. And if we try to solve the problem by directing them, we heard the teens were saying they felt threatened, they felt defiant. So if our kid responds by being defiant, then we're not going to get closer to the goal. So I mean, it seems like a lot of times it feels like you're doing something, and so it feels like, oh, I'm really doing it, but yet you actually get further from your goals. So that's where, let's try one more, and you'll see. So the mentoring, what we're going to do, if you're a parent, what we're going to have you do is say something like, you know, your kid says this, you got a D, and you say, well, wow, this worries me. What's your plan? Okay, talk to them and figure out what they're planning to do to solve this problem, because a D, that's kind of sad. All right, and so I'll give you another minute to try that out. Try to be the mentor, a minute or two, and then we'll come back together.
Yeah.
All right. I want to be able to have you come back together. Okay, if you were a team in this last exercise, how are you feeling now?
Respected.
Not so stressed.
Yeah.
Yes, heard. Heard. Okay. Great, thank you. Hopeful?
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Okay, how about if you're a parent? How did you feel? Free? Okay.
Just hand in a problem back to them.
Right. Right. We're not taking it.
Well, and we had dialogue about it. We talked about it instead of just.
Okay, so we had some dialogue. Great, thank you.
But what if we have some rebel rousers back here, children,
Uh-huh.
and they're not super motivated to come up with a plan. And they're like, it's fine, I'll just do a little more next time. I mean, if you're not doing well in class, maybe you're just, these two are not that interested in coming up with some great plan.
Okay.
What's the consequence besides just, where do you go from there? Like,
Good point. And if the kids,
because now I want to give them a plan.
yes, you do. And if they're so we're getting these power struggles because they really control. So it's kind of which we're going to get into next is who controls what. And as long as I'm talking about this, let me just I'm just gonna throw down here. So who controls how much they actually pay attention in class? They do, right? How much effort they put in? So how much effort they put in on their homework? Who controls that?
They do.
They do, right? Now, could you force your kid maybe to sit for an hour or be in a room for an hour with their math?
Yeah.
We could, maybe we could somehow do that, maybe.
Right.
We could try to bribe them, but do we know that for that hour that they're really focused? No. So therein lies part of our issue is that even if they're going to be like saying, I don't care, I would want to know, well, tell me more about why you don't care. A kid who says I don't care sometimes is really behind that is I don't have confidence I can ever do this. I don't know how to do this. I need help. I feel like a failure. But they're not saying that to you because that's too vulnerable. So they're going to say I don't care.
What about if the child can do that? Like, they just don't want to apply themselves. They can do it though. But they're just getting lazy or whatever you might want to think.
Boring. It's boring.
Yeah.
Yes, and it can be. And
It is. Boring to make dinner every day, but I do it.
yes, there we go. And that's right. That's part of maturing and part of life, isn't it? I mean, there's a lot of, I don't care what job you end up in, and that's why one good thing is when your kids can work for some other adult other than anyone in your family, it's great because you learn a lot of this stuff. I mean, there's a lot of boring things that you get paid to do or that you have to do as part of being a responsible human being, and that's just the way it is. Bathrooms need to be cleaned. Is that exciting? No. Do we want to clean bathrooms? Yes. But getting kids to have more ownership. Sometimes, if it's my kid, what I really want to be tapping into is what are they passionate about? Where do they see themselves making a contribution to the world? What problem? A way that I like to think about is what problem do you want to solve? Are you really interested in the climate change? Are you really interested in the fact that our oceans are dying? Or what, is it that you want to write software? You want to write the next great app? You think you want to go to outer space? Some people, what is it that your child, or maybe they want to be a musician, and that's what they really want to do. So when you can tap into what their passions are, then you have a chance of tying some of that together.
But a lot of the time, especially if they're 14, 15, they haven't got a clue what they want to be, what they want to do. I mean, my son just really wants to get out there, run, be free, get out of school, go see his friends, socialise, and is not thinking. I mean, he does think, he will talk about climate change or whatever, but just briefly. You know, basically, there's not that passion there at the moment, and it's not that buy-in.
And that may come with time, and that's, what I'm trying to do is thinking about, even if he, what does he like to do in his favorite, thing to do with, is it being with friends?
Being with friends, yeah.
Okay, so being with friends is really important right now. So, because, they need to be, building attachment relationships with people other than us. Because they're gonna need that to survive. And so so it seems really important to them because it really is important. So we could maybe build on something with that. So you're really good at listening to people. You know, I see that your friends love coming to you with their problems and you seem like a great friend to them. Does that tie to math? No, I can't easily think of a way that ties to math. But looking at where their skills are and where their natural interests are and where their talents are can help them see where they might want to spend some time and energy. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, other questions or concerns about the parenting styles or thoughts on that?
What if the only interest is playing video games? How do we tie it with anything positive?
So, and how old is your child?
He is 12 and a half.
12 and a half, okay. So at 12 and a half, one of the things I would want to do is be setting limits still, really on the amount of time. So we know, pardon?
Dictator Pod, the dictator?
Well, I would, okay, so when my son was playing a lot of video games, one time we were driving to church and I said, wow, how much time do you think you spend playing video games every day? And he's like, oh, I don't know, 2 hours a day. I said, oh, wow. So let's see, 2 hours, so times 7, here comes some math. So that's like 14 hours a week. And I said, I wonder how good you'd be at trumpet, because he was playing the trumpet at the time, if you spent 14 hours a week practicing. And so I did, and we just finished driving, and then on the way home, he brings up this conversation like we've never had the first one, says, which is great, he says, you know what, I think I'm going to play fewer video games because I think I could get better at other things if I spent more time. Oh, yes, yes. Great idea. But, so, your child might not come up with that, but they might. But helping them see that the time you spent is phenomenal. It really adds up. On one of those handouts, which I have, but it just does the math. And it's amazing how, I actually had to, I checked my math because I was like, could this possibly be? But yeah, if you're just spending 2 hours a day, right? That's not that much. A lot of kids spend a lot more than that. That's 60 hours a month. So say that's like a week and a half of a full-time job, right? So you're getting good at something. Is this really where you want your life going? And with kids, I would use my influence to say, I'm concerned, and as a family, we think this is reasonable. I would not say, have at it. If you think 8 hours is fine, then that's fine with me. Because of the addiction problems, because we know technology is addicting, and I wouldn't want my kid ending up in that situation. And I would definitely show them the video I mentioned earlier. I'd show them that video where kids do get addicted, adults get addicted. It's
Right.
All right. Other questions? Yeah.
What happens if your child takes no responsibility for anything? So the D that they're getting, not their fault, stupid teacher, and it horrible teacher, whatever. It's just never their fault.
Right. Helping them take some ownership and talking to them more. I would want to be talking to them about, well, what do you think you can do? Because they do need some. They don't have to try to take ownership, but ultimately our lives are a result of all the choices we make. And so, where is it they really want to go? Do they have some sort of passion, some sort of something that they want to work towards, and how this is not going to really get them there, because it is their choices. And what I want to do with my kids is, the older they get, the mentoring style to me, it's more like me putting my arm around my kid. Now, when I put my arm around my kid, I'm on the same side of the table. So I'm not, so if I was being the director, it's like kind of like my kid is here and I'm like, hey, listen, do. That typically doesn't feel very good to people. But if I have my arm around my kid, I'm like, I love you. You're my kid. I want you to have an amazing life. I want you to do what you want to be able to do. And I just know a number of people who, when they started using drugs, actually ended up, not being able to have a very good life. So I'm wanting, there's a lot more going on there, and I'm wanting to help that kid out. So I probably didn't quite answer your question, but that's a piece.
We had that conversation in our house, right? Because and it was tied into what you want to do in the future, and it was, well, you're not always gonna have great teachers. You got to figure it out, right? That was kind of how that conversation went, and it was a good conversation, sort of like, well, yeah, some teachers suck. And you got to still learn the material.
Right. And what's your plan? So ask the kid, what
right.
is your plan? So yes, you have a crummy teacher. Mm-hmm. We're not going to argue that, right? Because that's going to be like,
right. No point.
So let's agree. And then, how do you reach out? Do you have friends? Maybe you go and look at Khan Academy. There's lots of free stuff available now that you don't have to. If you don't like your teacher, you still can learn because there's a lot of other ways around it. Okay, yeah.
So what if, as a couple, you have very different styles?
Well, okay, so
One is a director.
yeah.
It's like even two extremes, so.
It is, kids certainly adjust to the different styles, but it's better if we can come together a little as a couple who are parenting our kids. So, what do I say? So, you could take a parenting class together, and that would at least... The thing I like about parenting classes is you're talking about someone else's problems, and you see how they solved it, and it's not as personal, but you can say, oh, okay, so here's some of the drawbacks, because the director style doesn't seem like it has drawbacks until there are drawbacks. Okay, so you tend to get rebellious kids because you've been telling them what to do, but you don't see that for a while, right? So when I'm telling you, go get your jacket on, go get your shoes on, do this, let me tell you how to run your life. Some kids will actually go do those things, but later on, I can end up with problems. So, reading something together, that getting somehow on the same page, which is easier said than done. Parent coaching, all that good stuff. A couple ideas. Yeah.
So within the parenting styles, let's say you have the kid not getting the grades you want.
Okay. Not the grades you want or he wants.
Well, that I want and that he needs for what he wants to do later. Like he wants to go to college, but he's maybe not, like we're a Husky family and he's knocked that out already. We'll just go there. Anyway, but as far as like to say, and this is for someone who's highly capable of whatever, it just depends on effort. Like A on tests, maybe low on homework, so the grades of C or B, you know what I mean? So to say, they have to figure it out, but if you have consequences at home, like you can't have your phone if you have whatever grades are lower, is that being a dictator, or you can't have certain privileges?
You know what I would do is on things that are really important, what I want to do is solve the problem. I don't want to impose consequences. So the problem is, if I could solve the problem with consequences, great. But a lot of times that just makes our relationship even worse.
Right.
So now I feel crummy because maybe I'm your kid and I have problems just remembering to turn things in. Some kids are really disorganized, and it's like you would think it's not that hard. But remember, 25 years, last part is organization, planning ahead, some of these things. And some kids get it no problem, and other kids are struggling. And so maybe you'd say, you know, I feel really bad. You got that homework done, and you mean the reason you got no credit was you forgot to turn it in? Oh, wow, I feel so sad for you. You know, because you did all that work and no credit. What do you think you're gonna do? Is there some way I could help? Well, what an awesome mom am I. I'm gonna try to help you out. Like, you know, maybe there's a way, maybe we, you know, I would do something. You know, maybe there's a Sunday night checklist that I can help you just run through. I mean, what I like to do is give kids as much help as they need and as little as possible. Right, so we're doing scaffolding to help them, because we want them to be successful. We sure don't want them to, but they've got to build up their muscles. We can't swim for them, we cannot do this for them, they have to do that.
You can also ask them if they want your suggestions or ideas, because then that, like, if they really don't know, and say, if you know, would you like some suggestions? I have some ideas, and that kind of gives them the power back. And then you can come up with, you know, some people might try this, or some people might try that, and what do you think would work for you, or let's keep thinking about it.
Thank you. I love that. Yeah, asking, because most times, a lot of people don't want your advice, so ask them is a great idea. Yeah. All right, other questions? Okay, so the control thing, the reason we've got this up here is if you spend your energy trying to control something you ultimately don't control, you get frustrated and you end up failing. So I wanted to look at who controls what. So your kids control things like what they eat, right? You typically are controlling like what groceries you buy. For the most part, you're paying for groceries. So you kind of control what's in the house, but they're controlling what they eat. They control the clothes they wear, right? They're dressed on their own. You control probably their budget for clothes. Maybe you even go shopping with them and you have some influence on, you know, what they buy for clothes. Let's see, they control what websites they visit or what they're doing with all their different devices, what games they're playing. You control whether or not you're providing internet in your house and whether or not you're providing those devices. So sometimes kids will get in trouble with their devices in a way that causes parents to take away their devices for a while because it's connected to the problem they got themselves into. They control, when they start driving, how they're going to drive. You control whether or not they get to borrow the car. Right? They control what they're doing with their boyfriends, girlfriends, what they're having sex. We control whether or not we talk to them about having sex, what our values are, and whether or not they have access to birth control, which is, you know, I would say there's nothing quite so motivating as to see how many grandparents are helping raise their grandchildren because their kids have children, or, you know, when they're teens, and just aren't going to be able to raise them, right? Or not do it. They're just not, because and kids sometimes don't think that all the way through. So having lots of conversations about that, that's the control you get to exert. You don't actually get to control their behaviors. Does that make sense? So sometimes we try to control their behavior, and that's when we do this.
But what about when you just don't want to talk about things like that? Oh, Mum, it's just too embarrassing. Don't even start there. Don't even talk about things like that.
Yeah, I know it's embarrassing, and this is something really important we need to talk about. So if I'm bringing up because I'm not very excited to talk about this either, right? But it's important, and parents are going to do different amounts of talking, and but if I've got something I want to talk to my kid about, then I'm going to bring it up, and and maybe we don't talk about it right now, but say, okay, so right now might not be a good time for my kid, but how about then let's set a time. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, we're going to talk. So we just don't drop things that are difficult, because difficult things, if we've got a problem situation with our kids or with our families, and you just let it kind of go because it's hard. All of us have, I think, struggled with dealing with difficult conversations. It doesn't get better on its own, right? It doesn't usually it's going to get worse. So that's why we're going to stick with it and talk about it. Yeah.
I found that with some of those kinds of things, it's a great opener to say, oh my gosh, I read this article today, and I just wanted to tell you,
I was sort of amazed. I didn't know this kind of stuff was going on, or I didn't know this could happen to a 14-year-old, or, you know, you don't make it about them and their friends and their choices and what are you doing and where you're going. It's just something that you read in the news or heard about from
Yeah,
another
great.
source. So it's less personal, but you're covering the topic and opening up the topic so that it's like they know that's an okay topic to talk about. And what do you think about that? You know, have you ever seen anything like that? Or you can then ask questions.
Right. Wonderful, thank you. Yep,
That's when my son just says, oh, Mom, you've been reading again.
that's right, but go to those parent things too. Oh, horrors. Great, thank you. Somebody else have a question or?
I was gonna say, a great resource for those kinds of conversations, if you, nobody's ever seen Amy Lang, birdsandbees.com, she's got great starters for those conversations.
She absolutely does, thank you. Yep, Amy Lang's a good resource. And there's kids in the house, so do you know that website? There's a lot, Amy's on that website, but there's a lot of pre-recorded and, psychologists and kind of experts in all sorts of different areas, and you can just go in there and watch what they have to say about this, that, or the other thing. How do adopted children typically feel about this situation? Or it's amazing how many topics are covered. Yeah.
What do you think about using that worksheet and going through that, maybe some of that with your team?
You mean the
Team controls and parent controls.
I
mean, obviously picking some topics that might make sense.
Yeah, I think that might work out well to just start talking to them about the fact they do control a lot of things, because ultimately they control their lives, and that's the most important thing that they have. And so, what are they going to make decisions about? So yeah, I think that'd be fine. The other thing that ties in is doing a chart just like this, or very similar, saying, what freedoms do you want? So as their kids get older, they're going to want more freedom. With freedom comes responsibility. So freedom, responsibility. So it's what do I control, what do you control? But freedom to take a bus downtown. What's the responsibility? Maybe you got to text me when you get there, or whatever you decide the responsibility. But with freedoms, no responsibility.